I watched the film. I watched Wuthering Heights. I watched Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie making out. And guess what? I felt nothing. I felt nothing. Whew, I'm gonna tell you the scenes that felt yearning and horny enough for me, and the rest of them, they were absolutely bland. They have the chemistry of a potato, but wait, we're gonna talk about that later on. Let me introduce this video. So, if you've been in the world for the past few months, you know about the hype with Wuthering Heights. I think we had all collectively decided or agreed months ago when the first trailer started to come out that the film was not going to be good. I think we knew that. But I think we were hoping, or at least I was hoping, that maybe it was not going to be a good adaptation, but it was going to be a good film. I haven't read the book, but I've been seeing online that as an adaptation, it is completely outrageous. But because I haven't read the book, it wouldn't be fair for me to comment on that. I'm simply gonna tell you about Wuthering Heights from the point of view of a movie. Is this movie good or not? Does this movie actually delivered what promised, which is years of horniness and yearning accumulated in a woman's body? Spoiler, it did not. And I am easy to convince, you know. I'm very easy to convince. Just give me a bit of action now. You already got me. I'm gonna start with the most superficial part of it, which is the set and the costume design. In my opinion, it was horrible. In my opinion, it didn't work at all. And the main reason for me is that I think they were trying to mix a sort of like very theatrical set design in the interiors of the film, like when they were inside their house, inside their mansion, inside whatever, with the vast fields of nature of England. It felt like you were watching two complete different films, like when Margot Robbie was in the fields on top of a rock or behind a rock. It felt like a completely different film to which she was inside her house, inside that rich guy's house. And I think that contrast could be interesting, but there is such a collage of elements of mixing that it just makes absolutely no sense. Like sometimes the scenes look like they come out of Alice in Wonderland or the Bridgertons even. The red walls, the extravagant sculptures, the fabrics that look almost like plastic 300 years ago. It just makes no sense. And I think that even if it were not accurate for the time or a bit too extra, but if it worked, I think nobody would have noticed. But the problem with this film is that it doesn't work. The dramatism that they're trying to bring with the costume and the set design kind of takes over the depth of the film for me. Like there were very serious scenes that because of the costume design or the set, they just look ridiculous. They just look like very caricaturesque. I think that's the word. Very absurd. Also, there were characters that embodied their costumes better than others. Like for example, I think that, what is her name? Isabella, which is Margot Robbie's, Katherine's sister-in-law. I think her costumes fit it really well in her character. I think she defended those terrible costumes the best of all of them. But sometimes in Margot Robbie, the dresses and the makeup that they did on her, it felt like a mix of 2018 Euphoria with like clean look, with modern makeup, with Barbie makeup. And it just felt like it made no sense with her character. Plus, another thing related to Katherine is that although they say that she's almost old enough to be a spinster, her behavior sometimes was very like spoiled, very childish, very almost like quirky, very jealous, you know, like a little girl. But at the same time, I'm looking at Margot Robbie, and even though she's astonishingly beautiful and she's an incredible actress, I cannot see such a childish behavior on a woman that looks 35. I don't know how old Margot Robbie is, but what I'm saying is that she was behaving kind of like a 19-year-old girl, an 18-year-old girl, but instead I'm seeing a woman on the screen. So for me, that felt a bit, it just pulled me out from the movie. And I don't know if there's something related to the book or not, but it just didn't feel natural. And that's why I think that Isabella's character felt more natural in terms of her age, her makeup and costume, and the acting. Which is just the way that she's portrayed, right? She's portrayed as this sexual being since the beginning, very voluptuous, with really beautiful cleavages and stuff like that. But if you're trying to portray her as this sexual being, as this woman, and then you show me all these childish characters at a different time when girls weren't necessarily sexualized very early on, because you were supposed to remain pure and stuff like that, it just took me out of the whole film. Like, it just seemed very not believable, I guess. In terms of Jacob Elordi is an actor that acts better when he's silent. It's because he's really dark, right? Like he has those droopy, sad eyes that made us all fall in love with him in Frankenstein and all of that, and that really portrayed really well, like the darkness of Nate Jacobs in Euphoria, and I think he really exploits that really well when he acts. But then when he talks, for me, that's when things kind of, the whole castle comes like crumbling down, because sometimes, especially in the second half of the film, and I'm gonna be mean, please, I'm gonna be mean, I'm so sorry. But in the second half of the film, every time Jacob Elordi talked, it felt like Frankenstein 20 years later. It felt like the same vibe of Frankenstein, as in like very few words, not much is spoken, and I'm a monster, but I'm hot. Yeah, that took me a little bit out of the film as well. We'll talk about the sex scenes as well later on. But overall, he made an okay job. Like, were there better actors for Heathcliff than him? Yes, for sure. But it was okay. I wouldn't say that he was the thing that I hated the most out of this film. Ironically enough, what I hated the most was Katherine, was Margot Robbie's character. Katherine's character, her character, was the most boring part of the film. I understand that she's the main character of the film. I understand that she's the main character of the book, probably. I don't know. But her story with Jacob Elordi, what they turned Wuthering Heights into, it's a very traditional, like, love story, you know? Like, right person at the wrong time. Everything about it was very common. And everything around Katherine is really interesting, except Katherine. Like, we understand 100% why she did everything that she did.
She cared about status. Heathcliff was not good for her. They needed wealth. At the time, a girl's virginity and availability to marry was currency, because societies have been built on the morality of women.
But I wish that Emerald Fennell had developed, or at least focused a little bit more on other stories. I think this film is not completely terrible in the sense that there's very interesting points, but the center point of the whole story is absolutely plain and boring. What I mean is Heathcliff. Again, I don't know if this is something related to the book. I don't know if in the book they don't explain what happened to Heathcliff all those years, but it would be really interesting to have Heathcliff as a protagonist a little bit more. You know, one thing that I was really interested about is towards the end, he starts this relationship with Isabella, which is Margot Robbie's sister-in-law, and he becomes this like very manipulative, sexually manipulative being, very sadistic even. But he wasn't like that at all with Katherine, with Margot Robbie's character. He was always very endearing, very protective, very thoughtful and stuff like that. So what is this dichotomy? Like, is he actually sadistic? What is his character? Is it because he went away and probably had to work everything himself and work really hard that he became like that? And is Katherine the exception to his character? Or is he really good and all of that and he's just taking it out on Isabella? Because in another time, Katherine warns Isabella that he's gonna eat her alive. But we don't actually see him being a brute like they were saying in the film. Or at least not to the extreme that they described him as. Another character that I was really interested in that wasn't Katherine was Nelly. Where was that obsession with Katherine coming from? Not obsession. Where was that love-hate relationship with Katherine coming from? Is it because she felt abandoned when they were kids and Heathcliff arrived and Katherine started paying more attention to Heathcliff than to Nelly, than to herself? Is it because she thinks that Heathcliff is the reason as to why Katherine didn't become the lady that she was supposed to be with Nelly's help? Is it jealousy? Is she really just looking out for the wealth of the family, for the well-being of her? There were a lot of open paths in this film that were not completed and were left unopened, and all of them were, again, I can't stop repeating myself, but they were all more interesting than Katherine and whatever was going on with her. My favorite character of this film, the film that I thought that I was gonna watch, is Isabella. Isabella is the sister from Katherine's husband. Isabella is Margot Robbie's, Katherine's sister-in-law. Since the beginning, she just gives us absolute drama. Since the first scene we see her, she's explaining, I think, the plot of Romeo and Juliet or Othello, I'm not sure, by Shakespeare to her brother. And she's smart and she's poignant and she's passionate and she's just interesting, mate, like for real though. And then the story went on, and when Katherine marries her husband, I forgot his name, Mr. Linden, I forgot his name, she becomes obsessed with Katherine. She makes like sort of like voodoo dolls with her shape to add to her dollhouse. She starts like copying her and being just obsessed with her. Why is she obsessed? Is it jealousy? Like, is she jealous of Katherine's beauty? Is she jealous that Katherine suddenly is taking the position of the lady of the house at the new house? Is it just pure admiration or obsession? You know, sometimes there's people that trigger in you like a certain obsession, you know, like this kind of people you meet and for some reason you can't stop thinking about them. And there's something about them that is really magnetic to you. Is it that? Is she attracted to Katherine? Does she like her? Is this a WLW kind of story? Like, what is going on? And then another thing I'm really interested about Isabella, when she gets with Jacob Elordi, with Heathcliff, why does she give herself up so easily? In the sense that obviously she's horny as hell. She's 21 years old. And Heathcliff, he's really tall. And he comes through the door and they have my favorite horny scene in the whole movie. And immediately she's like, yes, I am your dog. You've been a dog? Well, I am even more of a dog. She immediately develops an aptitude for devotion. That is a quote from the movie Pillion, which is a really great film. You should watch it. Anyways, she takes on the position of being submissive, of being dedicated, and being not submissive, actually. She becomes another pawn in Heathcliff's apparent sadistic vein, and they both develop this blackmailing sub-dom sexual relationship, which has, in my opinion, a lot more interest and a lot more chemistry than the relationship that Heathcliff and Katherine have. When Isabella is on a leash, when Isabella is sending the letters, that first encounter that they have when he like sneaks in through her window, that's the movie that I thought I was gonna watch. And you know what? That's the movie that they advertised. Like, let's not kid ourselves. The trailers, the soundtrack, the album cover of Charli XCX's first single with John Cale, all of that was suggesting Isabella's and Heathcliff's relationship. And the reason is simply that she has lights and shadows, you know, you see more evolution in her. But the problem with the film is that they don't really explain to you why that evolution of Isabella. And maybe they over-explain Katherine. And let's be honest, there wasn't that much to explain. I'm really coming for Katherine. I'm really coming for Katherine, but I just feel like it's the trope of the girl next door, pretty girl that is blonde as hell, and the weird girl who gets no attention, but low-key she's 100% more interesting. It felt like that. Very traditional story as well, but again, they decided to put the focus in the least interesting character and they left everyone else out of it. I'm being mean with Katherine, I'm sorry. All this criticizing brings me to the reason why we all went to the cinema, which is yearning. Did I yearn? Ugh. You know, did I grip the cinema seat with my bare nails? Did I break a nail? Did I chip a tooth? Did my eyes started twitching? Did I tingle? At times. Sometimes. At times. You know. It wasn't like a super tingle, but it was like a maybe something on my fingertips. A light tingle on my fingertips. When did I? That's the question. The first two physical contact or like slightly sensual moments that Heathcliff and Katherine have are really good. When Katherine is hiding from the servants of her house and Heathcliff kind of like goes on top of her on her back and covers her eyes and mouth. That one was really good. I really enjoyed that. After this, Katherine gets just too aroused and she goes on to do something to herself. And Heathcliff finds her and he kind of mocks her. And there is a moment where he grabs her by the corset and he lifts her up. And that is very hot as well. I yearned there. That was a really nice moment. What can I say? That was really hot. That was the Wattpad that I was expecting. From there, it all goes down. I think their encounters, sexual encounters, are terrible. They're too short. They go too fast. They're too typical. She doesn't give in herself completely. Heathcliff is too forward. And then Jacob Elordi puts that voice that is kind of like Elvis and Frankenstein combined in one. And it's just, and put that fucking tongue away, Jacob. Who told you to put that fucking tongue away? Honestly, fucking hell. At some point I was just like, okay, this is getting cringe. This is getting cringe. Like, I'm seeing your tongue more than I'm seeing you talk. More than I'm seeing your hands. put them away. Put it away. Yeah. The scene that I absolutely love, no comments, is, I'm gonna repeat myself, the scene in between Isabella and Heathcliff. Sometimes you don't need explicit stuff to make a good sexy scene. We women know about this. Men maybe don't know, but we know about this, right? That scene, Heathcliff sneaks in through the window. He's all wet because it's raining outside, and Isabella is like, I'm ready. I mean, she's like, I'm scared, but I'm ready. She's like, I don't want anything, but I'm ready. And then since the beginning, you see the dynamic of the relationship, which is that basically he's telling her, like, I'm gonna do it with you, but I don't love you. Do you want me to stop? I'm gonna teach you how to do it, but just bear in mind that I'm not thinking about you. Do you want me to stop? Do you have any problem with this? And then Isabella is like red. She's like, she's basically like literally like, and she just goes, no. That scene is cinema. That's the film that I thought I was gonna watch. Like, I love films when it's like desire just overtakes you. I love a good letting go movie scene, you know, sensual scene, when it's just like, am I making a mistake? Maybe. Am I demonstrating my aptitude for devotion? Maybe. But my desire is so thick around me. It's in the air. It's hugging me with bouts of passion and desire and longing and yearning that, fuck it, yes, let's go. Good, that's good. And you know who didn't have that? Katherine. Katherine had none of that. It was stupid. It was a stupid film. Honestly, it was not a good film. Even towards the end, that sort of big tragedy, it's very easy to get a tear from a Wattpad girly like me. And I felt nothing. And the main reason, I think, again, is because I feel like they have the chemistry of a potato. They didn't have any chemistry. My boyfriend's theory is that Margot Robbie is a really good actress, but she doesn't have romantic chemistry with anyone. I can't tell. I can't think of her in a film where I've seen romantic chemistry, you know, of her with someone else. In terms of Jacob Elordi, he can have sexual chemistry, but I'm not sure if he can have romantic chemistry either. Am I talking bullshit? I think I can. What I'm saying is making sense. So anyways, yeah, I think that's the end of my video, to be honest. I think like I'm just rambling. What I mean to say is that watch it, because there are certain things that are cool, like for example the soundtrack, even though it's not in the movie that much, but the soundtrack from Charlie XCX is really nice. Her album has been the album that I've been listening to for the past week. It's really great. Certain elements, visual elements, are beautiful. Like sometimes, especially in the first half, the film is beautiful, but everything else was kind of a flop. So go in thinking that, take it as an entertainment kind of film, not the kind of film that would change your life. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to film this video, guys, like very fast. I just wanted to talk about the film with you because it's a film that I've been really meaning to watch, and it's something I'm talking about a lot with my friends, and I wanted to share it online as well. So thank you for being here. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, please. Let's talk about this film, and subscribe. I hope you're really having a really lovely day. Here was supposed to rain, but it didn't rain, and it's sunny, so it's beautiful. Thank you. Bye bye.